And what does AI allow us to do? It allows us to do stuff bigger and quicker. If we're going to make good decisions, we can make them bigger and quicker. If we're going to make bad decisions, we can make them bigger and quicker. So as a result, we need people to be making informed decisions about how to use the technology so they can get all the benefits from it in the most de-risked way.
Can I also just take you back when you talked about the efficiencies that you need to think about, and the efficiencies relating to sustainability in particular? Could you tell us a little bit about what you understand about the climate impacts of using particularly generative AI?
Yeah, so I need to go back to, so there's some academics who've done some research. So for example, some academics, so not me, not HPE, some academics have worked out that to put ChatGPT through one training cycle produces in the region of 300 tons worth of CO2. So wow. I, for one, could not comprehend what 300 tons worth of CO2. So I did a bit of analysis. So that will take the average family saloon car from the Earth to the moon. It won't get you back to planet Earth again, but it will get you back to the International Space Station with a couple of 100 miles left in your tank. Gosh. International Space Station powered by HPE. We do run AI workloads in space. So the environmental impacts are pretty significant. And as a result, what we need to think about is, so firstly, ask your questions carefully, because every question that you ask uses or burns through some water to keep these very large generative AI tools cool. It's water that we could use for much better purposes and for educational purposes where people are using these techniques. So I think there's quite a lot to be said around the environmental impact of doing this. When you start thinking about building AI systems, the first thing is do a proper analysis. You can work with an organization like HPE, where we've got an extensive ecosystem of partners. And what we can do is we can help you understand whether or not what you're trying to do has already been done by somebody else. So there are great places you can go where you can get open source tools, open source models with very clear licensing agreements that already might well have tackled the problem that you're trying to tackle. So it becomes less about how I build something new and more about evaluation of what's already there, working out if the data that I've got is going to fit those models, whether or not I need to fine tune, whether or not I need to perform some other technique like retrieval augmented generation associated with bringing my data and a model that somebody has already done together. Ultimately, that means I'm using less power because training AIs and subsequently tuning them, hyperparameter optimization. You can tell these people who came up with these acronyms don't work in marketing, is extremely computationally intensive. Yeah. So whereas running inference, which is running models, spinning them up, is less computationally intensive, meaning you can still get the benefit from it without actually having to build it from scratch.
And would you mind just sharing with us, you know a little bit about the history of the way that GPUs were originally linked together as part of the video gaming industry and how that's now become the source of the amazing power that we are unleashing with generative AI. Just talk a little bit about the origins of that.
Yeah, so we're talking about where AI met GPU acceleration. So this is ultimately goes back to AlexNet. So created very innovatively by a guy called Alex. So he was a PhD and he wanted to enter his algorithm into a competition, quite a famous one called ImageNet. And associated with doing that, he constructed his algorithm, but it was taking too long to train. So he spoke to a whole bunch of his supervisors, and ultimately it was going to take him a number of years to go through all of the training cycles. As it happened, he was a gamer. And over a weekend, he ported his algorithm from running on a CPU to running on an NVIDIA GPU. And it had a 10-fold performance increase on the training times because GPUs are better at processing the mathematical workloads than CPUs. He entered it into this ImageNet competition and he ended up winning so significantly that NVIDIA went, wow, there really is something in this GPU acceleration using CUDA, which is a development framework, and the training of AIs. Credit to NVIDIA, they saw the advantage of this back in 2012, and they significantly invested both from a GPU architecture as well as the development frameworks that live around that to make sure that you can squeeze every ounce of benefit out of the GPUs that you're deploying. To give you an idea, HPE, we've had a significant relationship with NVIDIA. We created our first NVIDIA AI Center of Excellence focused on computer vision in 2013, because we were one of the first organizations that NVIDIA came to and went, we want to take this stuff mainstream. So we've been working with NVIDIA for a very long period of time in terms of building out that how you layer in a comprehensive software ecosystem around the GPU onto the AI lifecycle management that you need and all of the other layers that give you this AI native architecture that ultimately means that deployment of AI services is incredibly simplified because it allows you to focus on the data that you've got, identification of the use cases that you can use that will exploit that data, and then how you can deploy them onto an AI native architecture that ultimately gives you the comprehensive top to bottom tech stack that allows you to reduce the length of time it takes to get your AI systems into a production setting and ultimately allow, the time to value to be something that's going to drive benefit for your organization.
And that helps explain why NVIDIA is among the top stocks on the market today.
Yeah. I think if you were to look at their share price when we first started working with them, specifically in AI in 2013 versus where they are now, they've had a significant increase in market capitalization. But it just goes to show from a HPE perspective, they wanted an organization who understood how to do enterprise grade deployments of this type of technology. And it was HPE that they came to do that.
I wanted to get a definition from you, Matt. Okay, you seem very good at explaining things in very, very simplistic terms. So my daughter, we were walking around a Christmas market yesterday, and my 6-year-old, we took a photo, and I said, it doesn't matter that I've got a mud patch on my knee. I'll just take it out using AI on my phone. And I was met with the immortal question, Daddy, what is AI? So I made a pig's ear of explaining it. So my question to you is, Matt, how can I explain what AI is to a 6-year-old?
Oh, okay, that's an interesting one. I think the way I explain it, you have to tell me whether or not this would resonate with a 6-year-old. So artificial intelligence is about this might be a bit complicated, but it's about using algorithmically driven techniques to find hidden patterns in data. Where generative AI is around the creation of digital assets. So they're actually trying to do two different things. Yeah. I think if I were to explain that to a 6-year-old, I would say that AI techniques are tackling problems for challenges with data. So to your mud on your knee, I have a problem. So the data is the picture and the mud is the problem. What I need the AI to do is find the mud on the picture, and then I can work out how to remove it.
Yeah.
Whereas if I were to say, once I've removed it, what do I put in its place? Well, now I need to create something. I need to create whatever image that the AI has found the borders of and I've removed. I can now need to create a digital asset that's going to go in that place. That's what generative AI does.